Hey guys, and welcome back. Summer has finally reached Norway, which was a long time coming, so the spring has been quite bleak. But one thing that I am missing in my wardrobe right now is a pair of shorts. I have hiking shorts, that's basically what I have. I have hiking shorts and I want a pair of shorts that fit me well and that I can use with more nice tops. So I want to sew a pair of shorts. I have this fabric that is a leftover fabric from a different project. It's a dark teal linen. I think it will have a nice structure to it for the pattern that I want to use, which this part is messy. So I'm just gonna look around a bit. This is a pants pattern that I've used before. It has a really cool yoke at the top, which I really like. So I've sewn these as pants before, but never as shorts. I really like this pattern, but I've always struggled with the size of it. I've added to the length of the hip, and when I've done that, I've had to retract from the length of the hip. I have taken it in, but when I measure, I'm really not supposed to have to take it in. It's a whole thing. Instead of altering the pattern, I'm gonna sew one of the sizes. I'm not gonna change the length of the hip. Hopefully it will work out as it is, since I've apparently made a mistake doing that before. Also, in terms of the length, I will cut it sort of like mid-thigh, and then I'll sort of see what I like when it's on. So that's the plan. So kind of different than the normal corset underwear type of videos. I also have some leftover of this fabric right here that I want to use for the lining of the pockets. So let's get into that, and hopefully that will give me something that I can actually wear on warm days, if it stays. It often doesn't, but so now I have all the pattern pieces cut out, and I'm gonna start pleating. There are these, I think they're called box pleats in the front. So you just match up those dotted lines and sew, and then press afterwards. And you have these pleats in the front. I've just pinned on one of these pleats, so I'm just sewing down here and pressing, and then basting the upper edge afterwards. I'm just going to quickly overlock the edges. I forgot to do that earlier. So I have the facing for the pockets and the front parts of the shorts. So I'm just gonna sew these on, right sides together, and then afterwards just turn it over. So these will be on the inside. I'm just pinning that and then sewing it in place. I did this wrong way around, I think. Did I? Yes, I did. How did that happen? Oh. I was looking at the wrong side. I was so confused. Got me nervous there for a second. So, everything's fine. There we go, just sewing these on. And then I'm doing the other part of the pocket, which is nice. At that point, I can see better the size of the front. That is it for the facing for the pockets. So I am now going to understitch the facing to the seam allowance, and then afterwards do a top stitch on top here to make sure that none of this facing starts to turn out. We have pockets. So both the pockets are done, which is great. So now I'm gonna start working on the back panel, and I'm gonna start off by doing the darts in the back. So I am just trying this on right now. I've always felt that this runs a bit big, and now I try to make it a bit smaller, and I think it is a bit too small without being too risque here. You guys can see it. It's a bit on the smaller side. What I think I'm gonna do, because I'm not gonna cut new pieces, use a smaller seam allowance in the front and the back and the sides. And of course I'm gonna have, not of course, but I'm gonna have a different length for the leg. So it's going to be like, wow, that's hot. And I can move on now to work on the carriers. This is the strip for the carriers, and I will fold it in half and sew it together and turn it out, and then divide it into, I think it's 4, and then distribute those on the front and back before sewing the yoke to the actual pants. Now it's time for the yoke. So these are the front and the side front of the yoke. So I'm just stitching those right sides together. So what I'm gonna do now is to sew the yoke waistband to the pant legs. I've done one just to kind of see how it would work, since the waistband or the yoke was slightly bigger than the pants. So what I've done is just to sew it on where it's supposed to sit in terms of the seams. It's supposed to line up with the carrier and the pleat. So I made sure it did that, so it sticks out a bit on both sides. Hopefully I can have very little seam allowance just here, and then flare it out to the regular 1.5 again. I will pin this part of the yoke to this front piece, the other part of the yoke to the back piece, sew them on, and after that I think we can start to sort of assemble everything. It's really sunny outside, so hopefully I can wear these like tomorrow or something, just going for a nice stroll in the sunshine. Next up is the leg seam. So I'm just putting these right sides together and sewing up the leg seam. So I was not able to find a matching zipper, so I'm going to use a beige invisible one. I feel like it sort of fits the aesthetic, and since it is an invisible zip, it is also not as big a deal. I'm gonna sew this on. Yeah, nothing made sense to me for a second here. Okay, now I'm not a zipper expert. Just keep that in mind. So if you have a better way of doing this, do tell. So I'm just going to sew down this line with the invisible zipper foot, and then I'm going to pin it to the other side and do the same there. I've just put it on inside out, and I think it'll work now. But I have to have a minimal seam allowance at the top of the pant and then a regular on the yoke on both sides. So I'm just gonna do that, and after that it's facing, securing the carriers, and then the hemming, and I will take off quite a bit. The side seams are done, so we can sort of see the overall looks of the shorts. I think they're gonna fit nicely. They're gonna be quite snug, but I think it'll be fine. So What I'm going to do now is to attach this facing. I have just turned up the edge, but I'm going to pin it around the whole thing and then stitch around the whole thing. We are on the home stretch. So the one thing now is the length. I'm doing a regular simple hem, double but still. I'm not sure how long I want it. I don't want it too long. Here is the end of the pockets. So it has to be longer than that. I don't want it a lot longer, but like, let's say I take it there. Let me just, I'm not sure I'm able to turn it up this much. So that will be about there. Now ignore the bulkiness of this look, but I think that's a good length. So I'm gonna do like a double, I think maybe like a 2 centimeter hem. So I've just taken off on the length. I have marked all the way around 2 and 4. So I'm just gonna double press and then afterwards just sew the hem and we are good to go.